It was just after 8 on a Saturday evening when my phone buzzed. I was curled up on the couch with a cup of chamomile tea, trying to wind down from the week. The house was quiet, just the way I liked it. The wind rustled gently against the windows, and the faint hum of the refrigerator was the only sound accompanying the silence. I glanced at the screen and saw my sister's name flash up, Melissa. "Hey, Lacey," she began, sounding frazzled. "I hate to do this, but could you watch Jason for a few more hours tonight? My shift at the hospital got extended. It's been non-stop all day." Jason was her 12-year-old son, my nephew, and honestly, I didn't mind having him over. He was a quiet, thoughtful kid, more into comic books and video games than trouble. Still, it was late, and I had originally planned on having him until 7. I hesitated. I could have said no. I could have reminded her of the time or told her that I had plans to sleep early. But I didn't. "Of course," I said instead. "No problem. Take your time." Melissa exhaled audibly, her relief almost tangible through the phone. "You're a lifesaver. I owe you big time." I put the phone down and walked into the guest room where Jason was playing a video game on my old console. He looked up when I walked in. "Hey, buddy," I said. "Looks like your mom's running late. You okay to hang out here a bit longer?" He shrugged with that calm, agreeable demeanor that made him so easy to be around. "Sure. Can I stay up a bit?" I smiled. "Sure. But let's switch it up. No more screen time for tonight. Want to play a board game or something?" Jason nodded and followed me into the living room where I pulled out a dusty old box of Monopoly. As we set it up on the coffee table, he glanced around the room like he always did when he came over, taking in the photos on the walls, the books on the shelves, the plants by the window. He was a curious kid, observant and quiet. Sometimes I wondered if he saw more than he let on. We played for over an hour, trading fake money and laughing over ridiculous trades. I made a point of not going easy on him, but he held his own. When he landed on Boardwalk with a hotel and groaned, I couldn't help but laugh. "Bad luck," I said, scooping up his money. He gave me a playful glare. "This game's rigged." We both laughed, and it felt warm, like family. After we finished, I made us some popcorn, and we curled up on the couch to watch an old movie, one of those family-friendly adventure flicks from the 90s. The kind with cheesy special effects and heartwarming morals. Jason leaned against the armrest with a blanket tucked under his chin, completely absorbed. By the time the credits rolled, it was nearly midnight. I glanced at my phone. Still no text from Melissa. "Looks like your mom's shift really got extended," I said softly. Jason didn't reply. I looked over and realized he was fast asleep. His head had tilted to the side, his mouth slightly open. He looked peaceful. I didn't want to wake him. I stood there for a moment, just watching him. It hit me how much he'd grown in the past year. He wasn't the tiny toddler who used to cling to Melissa's leg anymore. He was getting taller, his features sharper, his personality more defined. And yet, in sleep, he looked like that same little boy again. I considered calling Melissa again, but I figured she must still be tied up. The hospital was a mess lately, with everyone stretched thin. It wasn't her fault. I carefully placed a pillow under Jason's head and covered him properly with the blanket. I stayed on the armchair, scrolling through my phone. Messages, a few memes from a friend, nothing urgent. I thought about getting up to wash the popcorn bowl but decided against it. I just sat there, listening to the soft sound of Jason's breathing, the wind still humming against the windows. Around 12:30 a.m., I finally heard my phone buzz again. It was Melissa. "Hey, just got off," the text read. "I'm exhausted. Is it okay if Jason just sleeps over? I'll pick him up first thing in the morning." I stared at the message for a few seconds. I could have said no. I could have insisted that she come pick him up, that I needed my space or that I wasn't prepared for an overnight guest. But I didn't. Not because I felt obligated, but because, somewhere deep down, I liked the idea of being there for someone. Being trusted. "No problem," I texted back. "He's already out cold. I'll have breakfast ready when you get here." I didn't expect the emotions that welled up right after I sent it. Maybe it was the silence, Or maybe it was just the loneliness I'd been keeping at bay for a long time. Living alone had its perks: freedom, space, control. But moments like this reminded me of the kind of warmth that only family could bring. Even if it came wrapped in a sleepy 12-year-old boy who'd just crushed me at Monopoly. I tiptoed into the linen closet, grabbed an extra blanket and pillow, and made up the bed in the guest room. Then I gently woke Jason. He stirred groggily. "Hey, bud," I whispered. "Your mom's gonna pick you up in the morning. Want to sleep in the guest room?" He nodded sleepily, and I helped him walk over. Once he was tucked in, I turned off the lights and went to my own room. I didn't fall asleep right away. My thoughts were too loud. I kept thinking about how small choices, like saying yes instead of no, can change the way a night unfolds. The next morning, I woke up to the smell of sunshine. That's the only way I can describe it. The light poured in golden and warm through the curtains. I walked into the kitchen and found Jason already there, still in his pajamas, pouring cereal into a bowl. "You know you're a guest, right?" I teased. "You're supposed to let me do that." He grinned. "You were sleeping. I didn't want to wake you." I made us eggs and toast, and we ate in a comfortable quiet. Around 9 a.m., Melissa arrived. She looked worn out but relieved. "Oh my gosh, thank you so much," she said, hugging me. "I owe you more than coffee after this." Jason ran to her, hugging her waist. "Aunt Lacey let me stay up late." I raised an eyebrow. Snitch. We all laughed, and for a moment, everything felt right. Simple. Easy. As they drove off, I stood on the porch watching their car disappear down the street. I felt something shift inside me. It was subtle, but real. I realized I'd been living in my own little world for too long: work, solitude, routine. But that night, with popcorn and Monopoly and soft breathing on the couch, reminded me of the joy that comes from letting people in. I could have said no. But I didn't. And I'm glad. Because that night gave me something I didn't know I was missing. Connection. Family. And a reminder that sometimes, the smallest decisions hold the most meaning.